tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvignantiye Bhurita Janaha. Thy words of nectar, full of divine glories, they are praised by sages. They destroy sin and the threefold miseries of life. They are auspicious to hear. Those who receive and spread thy words, O Lord, are the greatest benefactors. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Chapter 3, Visit to Vidya Sagar. Now this chapter, Sri Ramakrishna had long wanted to visit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and M was a teacher in one of the schools he had started. He was a great scholar and educator, writer and philanthropist. He is one of the creators of, modern Bengali, the language itself. Not only the language, he modified, convenience sake, also the alphabets. So he was a Pandit, well versed in the almost the six systems of philosophy and Sanskrit grammar, etc. And invariably people who learn Bengali use the primers that he had written. Apart from that, all his life he was, you can say, a champion of one thing: widow remarriage, women's education, and the uplift, etc. So he was more known for this than his scholarly accomplishments. So the first paragraph of this, page 99, is only speaking about him. And he was a great philanthropist also. So he wanted to meet Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, that is Sri Ramakrishna. And when M had broached the topic, so he said, does he wear an ochre cloth? What kind of a Paramahamsa he is? Paramahamsa is the highest type of monks. They always merged in the reality which is beyond our ordinary ken. So M had answered, no sir, he is an unusual person. He wears a red bordered cloth and polished slippers. He lives in a room in Rani Rashmani's temple garden. In his room there's a couch with mattress and mosquito net. He has no outer indication of holiness, but he doesn't know anything except God. Day and night he thinks of God alone. So briefly, Sri Ramakrishna is described thus to the Pandit. And Sri Ramakrishna, whether he was a householder, whether he was a monk, he was both. Not only that, women used to see him as a woman and men used to see him as a man, and great Paramahamsas used to see him as the greatest of Paramahamsas. The worshippers of Divine Mother used to see in him the worshipper par excellence of the Divine Mother. Worshippers of Shiva used to see him as Shiva incarnate. The worshippers of Vishnu used to say, he is our devotee. He inexhaustible. How he could be with these kind of multiple dimensions of these spiritual personalities is astounding. So they said, here he was on one afternoon on August 5. The master left Dakshineshwar in a hackney carriage accompanied by Bhavnath, M and Hazra. Vidyasagar lived in Badur Bagan. This place is still there. I'd been there a couple of times. And it is now a center of education by the government of India. So his name was Pandit Ishwar Chandra Bandyopadhyay. And he came from very humble beginnings, but he was a brilliant student. And that's the reason why he could succeed in his academic careers. He also championed the education for not only the women, but also for the general population. So here Sri Ramakrishna with his companions, as the carriage neared Vidyasagar's house, his mood changed suddenly. That's what used to happen. Whenever he used to go to meet somebody or a particular saint or a particular holy man, his mood used to change. His mind used to kind of take on the characteristics of that particular person's devotions. Yeah, amazingly. If the person was a worshipper of Vishnu, Sri Ramakrishna's Vishnu mood would manifest. And if the person was a devotee of the Divine Mother, the mood of the Divine Mother used to manifest. That is. Noticing this, M pointed out the garden house of where Raja Ram Mohan Roy had lived. The master was annoyed and said, I don't care for such things now, because he was in that mood. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he was one of the founders of the Brahmo Samaj. It was called the Adi Brahmo Samaj, the first Brahmo Samaj. And later on, there were schisms and there were a lot of differences. But he was the one who started. Sri Ramakrishna was going in an ecstatic state. The carriage stopped in front of Vidyasagar's house. The master alighted, supported by M, who then led the way. In the courtyard were many flowering plants, etc. And Sri Ramakrishna said, as the master walked into the house, he said to M, like a child, pointing to his shirt button, my shirt is unbuttoned. Will that offend Vidyasagar? Oh no, said M. Don't be anxious about it. Nothing about you will be offensive. You don't have to button your shirt. He accepted the assurance simply like a child. So, yeah. So he was, as I said, you're the great Pandit. And Swami Vivekananda also was a teacher for a few months in Vidyasagar school. He knew Vidyasagar also. Yeah, it's a long story because most of the direct disciples also studied under schools run by Vidyasagar. Vidyasagar was about 62 years old, 16 or 17 years older than the master. The master must have been 46 or 47. He lived in a two-story house and with lawns on all sides, etc. So here he finds. As he entered the house, Vidyasagar was seated facing them with a table in front of him. To the right of the table was a bench. Some friends of their host occupied the chairs on the other two sides. Vidyasagar rose to receive the master. That room is still there. It's surprising. When I read about it and when I seen it, now it's threadbare. All the furniture has been taken off. But there's the altar of the master there. Sri Ramakrishna stood in front of the bench with one hand resting on the table. So the bench was on the right-hand side of the table. He stood there. He gazed at Vidyasagar as if they had known each other before and smiled in an ecstatic mood. In that mood, he remained standing for a few minutes. Now and then, to bring his mind back to normal consciousness, he said, I shall have a drink of water. Ami jal khab. So that desire used to bring his mind down. Because when the mind is so elevated, it's very difficult to focus one's attention, not only to words, but also to things around. And if you would speak in this stage, it would be like garbled speech. So I'm sure he said, I shall have a drink of water. It was like more like a kind of a, M could understand it because he was around. In the meantime, the young members of the household and a few friends and relatives of Vidyasagar had gathered around. Sri Ramakrishna, still in an ecstatic mood, sat on a bench. You see, in that state, in the ecstatic mood, the whole world appears transparent. That is, he can see the inside and the outside of things. That's important. He is in an ecstatic mood, and it's not just a personal thing that he's enjoying ecstasy. He can see everything. Like Sri Ramakrishna used to say, I see things as if they were like in a glass case. I can see things inside. So Sri Ramakrishna, still in an ecstatic mood, sat on the bench. A young man, 17 or 18 years old, who had come to Vidyasagar to seek financial help for his education, was seated there. The master sat down a little distance from the boy, saying in an abstracted mood, Mother, this boy is very much attached to the world. He belongs to thy realm of ignorance. Here. So he could see things. So he saw this young man who had come for help, and people used to stream to him to get a little financial help or get admission in a college or a school or something like that. So this is important. He belongs to thy realm of ignorance, mother's realm of ignorance. So mother has another realm of knowledge. Because she is responsible for everything. Why not? It's better to have somebody like mother to be responsible for ignorance also. Vidyasagar told someone to bring water and asked M whether the master would like some sweetmeats also. Since M did not object, Vidyasagar himself went in, and so he got some water and sweetmeats, and it was served. When it was asked about M, he's saying, oh, he's like one of the family. We needn't worry about him, because M was one of the teachers in Vidyasagar school. Referring to a young devotee, the master said to Vidyasagar, he is a nice young man, and he is sound at the core. He is like the river Falgu. The surface is covered with sand, but if you dig a little, you will find water flowing underneath. So we don't know the name of this young man. I assume is talking about Bhavanath, who accompanied Sri Ramakrishna. Bhavanath was like that. He had very deep spirituality. And so he's saying, he is like the river. There is a river in central India, north central India, that is the Falguni river. So it's on the, you can say, one of the holy shrines in India called the Gaya, where everybody who has lost a parent or some family member or something, they have to go and offer these called the pindas, funeral services there in that. And if you do that, that soul is liberated from this sphere. So it's a name of, it's a temple of Vishnu. It's now in the state of Bihar. So it's one of the very ancient, we don't know how it was, we won't get sidetracked anyway. So on that, the temple sits on that river banks. And it's only in the monsoon season, rainy season, where you will get water. Rest of the times it's just sandy, you can say bed and banks. But as I say, you can dig a little and then you'll find water. So this devotee was something like this. People, they see external things, but Sri Ramakrishna is telling Vidyasagar that, you see, he is like this. After taking some of the sweets, the master with a smile began to speak to Vidyasagar. Meanwhile, the room had become filled with people. Some were standing and others seated. Master, today at last I have come to the ocean. Up till now, I have only seen canals and marshes, or a river at the most. But today, I am face to face with the Sagar, the ocean. All laugh. Sagar means ocean. Vidya means knowledge. An ocean of knowledge. This title was given to this Pandit. By whom? Well, because of his vast learning and piety, they had given this. So Vidyasagar smiling, then please take home some salt water. Again laughter. Master, oh no, why salt water? You aren't the ocean of ignorance. You are the ocean of Vidya, knowledge. You are the ocean of condensed milk. All laugh. Vidyasagar, well, you may put it that way. So he was also very humble. With all his greatness, the Pandit used to go out of his way to seek people and help them. The Pandit became silent. Sri Ramakrishna said, your activities are inspired by sattva, that is the sattva guna. Though they are rajasic, they are influenced by sattva. Compassion springs from sattva. Though work for the good of others belongs to rajas, yet this rajas has sattva for its basis and is not harmful. This is again important. Like we do all these charitable works, etc. So we must understand that sattva is like compassion, love, kindness, generosity. All these traits, they come naturally to a person whose mind and whose nature is like the sattva. In the Bhagavad Gita, an entire chapter is devoted to the characteristics of. One of them is Sukha Sangnena Badnasi, Jnana Sangena Chanaga. The Maya binds the soul through sattva. How? By happiness and knowledge. A sattvic person has happiness and has knowledge. But of course, that also, even in the highest, you can say, elevations of the spiritual nature of people, that also is considered a bondage. Like the Divine Mother is responsible for all the ignorance also. So as you keep on developing spiritually, what happens? Your nature becomes that way, sattvic. And people say, oh, I've got all these past karma and this and old memories. Just try to transform your nature and all those things will be left behind. You will manifest all these great qualities of sattva. All the other qualities will simply wither away. So the pursuit of knowledge is what? Jnana Vijnana Mahastikyam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. These people are only in the pursuit of knowledge, and knowledge brings them this great idea of sacrifice. Always. When you have knowledge, it brings humility also. Vidya dadati vinaya. So you're a very humble person. The characteristics of rajas, the ego, is fighting, shouting, doing all these things, workaholic. So Sri Ramakrishna pointed it out to him. Shuka and other sage cherished compassion in their hearts to give people religious instructions to teach them about God. Shuka, as we know, was a son of Vyasa. Vyasa was one of the greatest sages who wrote the Mahabharata, who edited the works of the Vedas, the 4 Vedas. He wrote the various Puranas. Oh my God. And yesterday was Guru Purnima, day before yesterday. Yeah. And Vyasa's birthday is considered as the Guru Purnima. So it is Veda Vyasa. So that was, so his son Shuka is saying, he was born perfect. Sri Ramakrishna said, he was born perfect. And you've seen, Sri Ramakrishna used to call Swamiji as Shuka. Yes, surprising. The Shuka was, so he gave that great scripture called the Bhagavatam. And of course, he inspired other scriptures also. So, Sri Ramakrishna, you are distributing food and learning. That is good too, of course. Giving food, very charitable, and plus learning, both secular and sacred. But most people work for name or fame or to acquire merit. If these activities are done in a selfless spirit, they lead to God. So here he is also speaking about this path of Karma Yoga. If these activities of being generous and charitable and humble and working for others in the spirit of service and with that mind full of sattva, it will lead to God. But most people work for name and fame. Their activities are not selfless. Besides, you're already a Siddha. Now, Siddha means perfection. The footnote here, literally perfect or boiled. In Bengali, we'll say boiled also. The word is applied both to the perfected soul and to boiled things. So the Sanskrit pronunciation is Siddha. The Bengali will pronounce it Siddho. So, Siddho. Have you cooked that? Is Siddho hoye gache? That is, has that thing been boiled? Has it? So the other meaning is, has the thing become perfect? How is that, sir? He never suddenly became puffed up with, oh, he's calling me a perfected. The master laughing. When potatoes and other vegetables are well cooked, they become soft and tender. And you possess such a tender nature. You are so compassionate. Laughter. So here. So as I said, Sri Ramakrishna was in that heightened state of consciousness where you can seek and read people unerringly. And even in these theories, the 6 ways of knowing propounded in Vedanta, there are 6 ways of knowing how cognition takes place. They also add another, the 7th one, is called yogic cognition, yogic perception, that the yogi sees things from an elevated state of mind. Sri Ramakrishna used to do that. Vidyasagar. But when the paste of kalai pulses is boiled, it becomes all the harder. So he quips in. All things don't become soft when boiled. There are some things that become hard. The master. But you don't belong to that class. Mere pandits are like diseased fruit that becomes hard and will not ripen at all. Such fruit has neither the freshness of green fruit nor the flavor of the ripe. Vultures soar very high in the skies, but their eyes are fixed on the rotten carrion on the ground. So here he is elaborating. And imagine Sri Ramakrishna praising this Pandit in these ways. Definitely, that he must be obvious, even after all these years, It's now, Sri Ramakrishna met him in 1882. That's about 141 years. Amazing. It was Sukh. It's not very far also, about 141 years ago. So, and so this, he's telling here, the book learned are reputed to be wise, but they attach to lust and greed. Like the vultures, they are in search of carrion. They are attached to the world of ignorance. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. As I said, so the knowledge of God, or in the sattva, the mind and the body is in the sattva mode, this comes. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. So if a person is knowledgeable, and we've seen so many people, he's got brilliant, but these will manifest. Otherwise, if they are not manifest, then you know that a person is learned, but he's like the vulture soaring, going high. But then, and that's why the vultures have developed a very keen eyesight. And not only that, it has a keen eyesight, and it also has patience. And it will wait for you. And if it sees you're panting in the desert for water, it will wait for you. Wait for you to die, don't worry. So vultures are like that. Some learned people are like that, just book learned. That book learning has not transformed them. See, knowledge transforms, because we have two systems. One is the sensory and the motor. Until and unless that knowledge is not kind of imbibed, it's not brought down to the body and the senses, to the motor organs, it's not translated into action, that knowledge is now just information. So our bodily system itself, our mind itself is made in that sense. Senses also. You receive knowledge, transform it, and act it out. Both these systems are essential. So there are some people who do it halfway. So real knowledge, when you get this knowledge, has to be translated into this world. Like Swami Vivekananda said, bring it out into your muscles and nerves. So this is Sri Ramakrishna. Vidyasagar listened to these words in silence. The others too gazed at the master and were attentive to every word he said. So it's not only speaking about the Pandit, but speaking to others also. Vidyasagar was very reticent about giving religious instructions to others. That was it. He had studied Hindu philosophy once. When M had asked him his opinion of it, Vidyasagar, I think the philosophers have failed to explain what was in their minds. Limitations of language as well as realizations can never be fully articulated in this. And all philosophies can never be perfect, because this is the realm of imperfection. It's just not possible. But he somehow was not a great believer in God. He was, but he had asked, when he read that Genghis Khan, when he was sweeping down Central Asia, there were hundreds and thousands of prisoners that captured, and his generals had come and said, who's going to feed them? We don't have food. Genghis Khan has said, off with their heads. We don't want them. And hundreds and thousands of innocent people were just simply massacred. So he asked a simple question. What was God doing then? And all his life he held on to that. A personal God, he wasn't so interested. What was God doing? That had made him, he had studied and everything, but this kind of, this thought had kept him away from plunging into the real heart of religion. But in his daily life, he followed all the rituals of Hindu religion and wore the sacred thread of a Brahmin. About God, he had once declared, "It is indeed impossible to know him. What then should be our duty?" And then he said, you follow your customs, your rituals, so you can inspire others to do the same. So he tried to transform society from inside out through rectitude, proper behavior, etc. Now Sri Ramakrishna's conversations now turned to the knowledge of Brahman. That was what Sri Ramakrishna, all the time, M was just laying down the, you can say, groundwork. Master, Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya, knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya, the illusion of duality. People say, what is Brahman? I am Brahman, I am what? They don't have any idea of it. They've heard it from somewhere or read it somewhere and talking about it. So here Sri Ramakrishna is very, very concise. I mean, which has been tried, hundreds of books have tried to explain what the reality is. Brahman. He, in just one small sentence, Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya, knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya. Then he explained what? The illusion of duality. So wherever there is duality, wherever the subject and object, that is Maya. Wherever there is knowledge, there is ignorance, that is duality. Brahman is beyond both. He explains, the world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. There he is again. These are one of the pillars of Advaita Vedanta is the doctrine of Maya. And Swamiji has said it takes months to explain and years to understand. This doctrine of Maya was a germ in the old Vedic literature. And it took a few thousand years for it to develop. Indra Maya bi Pururupa iyate. The first glimpses of that is Indra, through his Maya, assumes many forms. And then slowly and slowly, the word kind of became subterranean for a while in the minds of people. People are thinking about, what is this? And towards the end, they bring out this doctrine. It's an amazing doctrine, never to be replicated and never will be. It has become, more or less perfectly explained. It explains the world, it explains the jivas, the individual souls, it explains God. Yes, people say, Maya is an illusion. No, it is in a way. But this word illusion itself has come from the Buddhistic philosophers. The word generally is, Maya is not translated as illusion. Here it is. So, illusory. This is created. You can see this. And yet it is not fully permanent. It's a mixture of both permanent and impermanent. infinity, finite, good, bad. And you could go on and on and on and on. So towards the end, one of the latest Upanishads is saying, know nature to be Maya, and the ruler of this Maya is the Lord himself. He's saying, Mayam tu prakritim vidyat, Mayin tu Maheshwara. So this is Maya, this is the power of the Lord. So this is again from the Upanishads. And later on we come to Shankaracharya and how they develop. So many times we've seen it has taken a few thousand years for this doctrine to do. And people say, oh, Maya. They don't really understand what the great doctrine, how it evolved. And Sri Ramakrishna puts it succinctly. He says it contains knowledge and devotion also, and also attachments, righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil. But Brahman is unattached to these. Now this good and evil apply to the jiva, the individual soul. We say, oh God, Brahman is now responsible for this. No. So what about a divine mother in the realm of Maya? She is the personalization of this power called Maya. This great power. That's why she is called Mahamaya. And this tallies also what the scriptures say. I mean the great commentaries, etc. Good and evil apply to the jiva, the individual soul, as do righteousness and unrighteousness. But Brahman is not at all affected by them. Wow. So, yeah, we can go a little with the heavy stuff. So he explains, one man may read the Bhagavata by the light of a lamp, and another may commit a forgery by that very light. But the lamp is unaffected. The sun sheds its light on the wicked as well as on the virtuous. You may ask, how then can one explain misery and sin and unhappiness? The answer is that these apply only to a jiva. Again, so the jiva, its characteristics, individual soul, the characteristics are ignorance. And that's the reason why there's bondage. So where there's the jiva, the individual souls are bound. Bound why? Because of ignorance. And then, as we have said, oh, is ignorance something airy, something here? Oh no, it's there. What is ignorance? So ignorance is also personalized as the ego. And when the sense of ego comes in, I am doing this, then follows karma. And then what follows karma is the results of karma. So there the jiva gets wrapped in its own as a cocoon of deeds and thoughts, etc. But, as they say, in that bondage, the jiva starts developing. He gets blows here, the righteousness, unrighteousness, good, bad, everything. They kind of come and try to slap him, try to wake this jiva up. Yeah, because ignorance it's terrible. Like I said, it's not a kind of some ethereal quality about it. It's very tangible, ignorance. You can see. People talk all nonsense all the time. You can see that. It's tangible. And another characteristics of ignorance is you start doing one thing, that one thing will lead to the second thing, the second thing to a third and fourth, and you're caught. You're caught in that world. So it's extremely difficult to extricate yourself. But in that cocoon, you start developing. And one day, when you're strong enough, you'll break through that cocoon. So that cocoon, that bondage which bound you, also in a way protected you. You developed yourself inside. Because otherwise, the nature of every soul is to ultimately get liberated. Wherever, whatever you have done is all cancelled. And today is, this world, everything is, somebody doesn't say something or does something, that person is cancelled. So, similarly, the jiva also, whatever that jiva has done, it has done. It will get cancelled. It will go. It has to go towards liberation. So that is why, they say, he gives again, there's poison in a snake, but though others may die if bitten by it, the snake itself is not affected by the poison. What Brahman is cannot be described. Here it is. It's just an indication. That. And people look at this finger, index finger, pointing out to that and say, hey, that is Brahman. This is not Brahman. It's just pointing out, it's that. All things in the world, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Tantras, the 6 systems of philosophy have been defiled like food that has been touched by the tongue, or they have been read or uttered by the tongue. Only one thing has not been defiled in this way, that is Brahman. No one has been able to say what Brahman is. And Vidyasagar is saying, oh, that's a remarkable statement. I have learned something new today. So the Vedas are the most sacred scriptures. There is nothing higher than this. There are a mass of scriptures, oh my God, ancient. It's called even the mind of God. The Vedas, the Puranas, the secondary scriptures, the Tantras, oh my God. It will fill this whole hall. So many scriptures. So they are all been trying to explain what Brahman is. And he says, all the 6 systems of philosophy included have been defiled like food that has been touched by the tongue, because they have been read or uttered by the tongue. In India, we had that kind of, uchishta, that is what you eat and what has put in the mouth or you have touched with the tongue cannot be offered to someone else. But that's a different thing. Now we have, okay, you might spread your germs there. So better keep your germs to yourself. Your immune system will take care of you. Let the guy's immune system take care of his own. So this is what it's saying. Because the Vedas emphasize avang manasa gochara, that which is beyond the speech and mind. So this is the only scripture, the Vedas are the only scripture that say that you have to transcend the scriptures. No other religion will say, oh, this is, you can't transcend this. The book is the book. And it's all, religion means the worship of the book. And over the books, people have fought wars and killed each other in the name of the book. And the Vedas, they are saying, no, you better take a pole vault and jump over. So that's the Vedas, Puranas, Tantra, 6 system of philosophy. Everything that is has only kind of indicated that is the way. So yesterday, they were talking about, I had gone to the retreat at Portland, and they are saying knowledge, etc., ignorance. I said, yeah, when you can see the ocean in a drop of water, your knowledge will lead, this knowledge will lead you to that reality. We see so much water and we see drops of water. We don't see the ocean itself. This is an illustration, that is, to see the whole macrocosm in the microcosm. Then, because knowledge is both individual and universal. We think, oh, knowledge, this knowledge, what knowledge? We forget the universal aspect of knowledge and think, oh, this is a very great, I'm a great learned person and that person is ignorant and this and that. So, knowledge is individual as well as universal. And we can see what you think can be applied 1,000 years hence also by people who are not even related to you. So, knowledge is universal. It has universal application. So, when you see the macrocosm in the microcosm, you are on the right track. That will lead you to that which is beyond the Vedas, etc. Okay. We stop here for today. Friday, we will take second part of Rani Rashmani, Householder Disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Sunday, instead of the usual Sunday talk, there will be a memorial meeting for Alan Friedman, a friend who was here for a very long time. And of course, Saturday, we have the retreat at Arlington from 1 to 5. So, you all welcome. We'll take the questions. Okay. Maya appears as a result of error and time and space and causation. Maya appears as a result of error, and time, space and causation are a part of Maya. But why does Nirguna Brahman get manifested as Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, and not remain as the unmanifest? Oh, yeah, that's a, this person has read a little Vedanta, you can see. Good. Adya Krishna Prasad. Okay. Why did everything start? Why did the quality less, the absolute, manifest as this world? Why did creation itself emerge out of this? So, the non-manifest and the manifest, the absolute and the relative. Why did, so that was the question. So, that's meant for you, but to a sage or a rishi, you say, what are you talking about? There is no creation. I don't see any creation, I see only Brahman. So, this, what you are saying, error and time and space and causation, these Brahman appears as this creation, etc. Okay, not in reality. So, in Vedanta, there is one particular school called the Vivartavada. It's a very technical, but then the example will make it. Like the normal, the rope and a snake. When you see a snake, you get a jerk, a shock, and you pull back. But you look closely, it wasn't a snake, it was a rope. First thing is, you will see the snake only where the rope exists. So you will see this creation first and then say, oh, the creation. Look closely, oh, there's no creation. It's a rope, it's Brahman. So it appears, the rope as if is transformed apparently into a snake. But it not in reality, apparent. So that is your answer. So what is time and what is space and other causation? Just appearances. Secondly, to give you an example, like take to put it in a perspective. Suppose you have the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean and all the oceans and all the seas and everything. Put all of them together. You have a big sea. Then take one drop of water again. Okay. Creation is that small point. Appearance again. Everything else is water. Or you take this entire galaxy. How vast is this? Nobody knows. Why? What is the point? And here we are on this pale blue dot called Earth. That's Carl Sagan's, you can say, pale blue dot. Why? What is this? Why is all this? And in this small pale blue dot, what are you doing? For thousands of years, you have been fighting and shouting and killing. Great kings have risen and gone. Sages have come. Religions have risen. They've died. Evolution is happening. Societies rise, fall. Civilizations rise and they fall on this one pale blue dot in the vastness of this cosmos. Then you ask, why? Is there an answer? So similarly, why does Brahman appear as its creation? Why? You better ask Brahman. No, that won't do, you know. I'm only kidding. When the veil of ignorance drops, you'll get the answer. Okay. So that's it. Gaudapadacharya says it is in nature of Brahman to appear as a manifest and unmanifest. Does that mean it is in Brahman nature to produce an error by observing itself as the object? Okay, that's a follow-up question she has put. No. Ignorance is not in Brahman. It's in the jiva, as I said. And Sri Ramakrishna is very clear. He's saying the poison is in the snake, but it's not affected by the poison. So when you're talking about creation, etc., it is an unreality according to Advaita Vedanta. Gaudapadacharya was the guru, the grand guru of Shankaracharya, who wrote the gloss on the Mandukya Upanishad, which is very kind of famous. And then Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on that gloss. So Gaudapadacharya. So Gaudapadacharya says it's in the nature of Brahman to appear as a manifest and unmanifest. Brahman is beyond, as you see Sri Ramakrishna says, Brahman is beyond ignorance and knowledge and everything, manifest and unmanifest. Brahman is beyond all these things. So this nature of Brahman is to appear as a manifest and unmanifest means it is the work of Maya to appear as a manifest and unmanifest. It is called Avyakrita. The other name for Maya is Avyakrita, unmanifest, Prakriti, Maya. Okay. So all these are things. Does that mean it's in Brahman's nature to? No, it's not in Brahman's nature to produce an error. How can Brahman, nature of Brahman? It's in the nature of Maya to produce an error, not Brahman. So you're mixing both these two things. You keep, please at least intellectually separate these things. But these are very profound questions. Thank you for this. So somebody has been reading Mandukya Upanishad. Great question. So if you have any questions here?
I have a simple question, not that sophisticated.
Thank God.
I'm just wondering, so did Ramakrishna go to see Vidyasagar? Like first he praised him, And then he started talking about Brahman. So, what was the reason? Is this to, spread what Brahman is all about? Vidyasagar is already like knows everything. What was he thinking?
So the question is, Sri Ramakrishna goes to see Vidyasagar and then meets him and then brings up the topic of this Brahman, etc. What's the point? Is it to spread this ideas of reality called Brahman that he went, and why should he bring up the topic at all? So just a couple of paragraphs before, Sri Ramakrishna, M is describing Sri Ramakrishna to Vidyasagar, saying he does not know anything except God. Day and night he speaks only of God. So when Vidyasagar wanted to know, so this is what it is. So Vidyasagar was aware that this person knows nothing except but God. So God in all various forms, and since Vidyasagar had lost his faith in the personal aspects of God, because the question was, why did so many people have to be massacred? What was God doing there? So he had to bring in the ideas of the impersonal God. You got this idea? So instead of taking in a personal God and think, this God wills, he doesn't say that. Later on he will bring. So he had to arrive at this idea of reality, God, through the impersonal. And that the Pandit, the Pandit is not he was well grounded in the Vedas and the Puranas and the Tantras, and he was not an ordinary person. So he was well, and he was, I just say, a born genius since a very young age. And he used to study under the street lamps, because those are old days of gas lamps, because he could not afford, there was no electricity anyway there at home also. He used to study at nights under the street lamps. So he was so diligent. So he was not an ordinary person. So what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, at that level, that person can understand. So that's the reason why he started talking about this Brahman and the impersonal.
He's so learned. Why isn't he aware of Advaita?
So the question is, if he is so learned, why is he not aware of Advaita? He was a Pandit of the Vedanta also. Of course.
He does know about Brahman. At least
Of course. Everything, like you're saying, the Vedas, Puranas, Tantras, they're trying to describe Brahman. So after reading all this, he knows. Why should you think that becoming a learned only will lead you to Advaita? You can lead to Vishuddhadvaita, Advaita also. The dualistic idea of God, the composite idea of God also. You can lead. So he is aware of all these things. Of course. Now it was like, see Sri Ramakrishna, this is Sri Ramakrishna's grace. And it's also to honor knowledge and learning. This person has devoted his entire life to knowledge and learning. He's devoted the rest of his life also to charitable works. So just because, he's a very famous person, I'm going to see him. No. It's because of that wealth of knowledge plus the wealth of this good karma that this person is doing, that has attracted even an avatar to him. So people say, where's an avatar? Where's God? You start doing something like this, a little like this, then God himself will come to you and tell you, here I am. People do not do anything. Oh my God, I've got a toothache, I've got a stomachache, please do something for it. That, you'll see, God is not doing anything about it. Yeah, you better do something first. So this person, he's aware, but then, as I said, he was like agnostic about the idea of the personal God. His name itself is Ishvara, that is Ish. And he was brought up in the best traditions of Brahmanism. They're saying that he held on to his truth, very truthful he was. So one time his brother was getting married and his mother had sent a message, you should be present for your brother's marriage. And in those days, you had to cross those rivers through these country boats, because he was staying not far from Sri Ramakrishna's village, what is today called Paschim Midnapur, the district county of Midnapur. So he is saying there were no country boats plying and the rivers are raging. He swam across it, risking life, so that he could be truthful. His mother said, you should be present. He reached there. So he was that kind of, he was not a softie like us. Oh, take it easy. Oh, no problem. I can't come, No, kept his word. So these are the qualities that, yeah. So, okay. We stop here for today. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.